This is the Tech Phantom, and welcome to video number 11 of the series. We are playing Dark Souls for the DLC. We are exploring its lore, and I am highlighting for you some secret or obscure loot. And today we are venturing into Sans Fortress, and I'm going to let you guys know up front right away that I was going to try to impress the YouTube community with my parrying skills, and I failed miserably. I normally do backstabs on a lot of these enemies, but because I was recording, I thought I would try something a little bit different, and I thought I would try to do some backstabs. And well, you guys are gonna see the outcome of that. That's what happens when you try to show off. When you're not recording, you can do things no problem, but as soon as you start recording, the pressure builds and you start making mistakes. All right, but enough of that. We were told that Sans Fortress is the way to proceed if you want to go to Anor Londo, the realm of the gods, and that is a little bit of a proving ground for those undead that could be the chosen undead. So those undead that have decided to go on this quest to be the chosen undead have to get through Sans Fortress. So somebody put this plan in motion and went through a lot of trouble in order to make this happen. All right, so let's do some secret or obscure loot. And if you go to the left of the Demon Titanite, he will not aggro, and you can pick up a scythe, and you can also pick up a large soul. And if you saw a little bit earlier, I got really lucky and I didn't die when I got hit by the swinging knife or the swinging axe, because I had cast full control and I had put on the ring, the rusted iron ring. So that's always something that I recommend to you if it's the first time that you're going through Sans Fortress. Go ahead and do full control, and go ahead and equip the rusted iron ring just in case you fall off the platform, and you'll survive the fall, and you'll be able to quickly run away from the demon titanites. I'm sorry, from the titanite demons. Okay, so we are following our rule number 3 of this walkthrough, and that is to not walk around with a lot of souls. So we have quite a number of souls saved up here. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to level up. And just a quick recap, the 4 rules that we're trying to follow in this walkthrough are maintain fast roll, to only equip items that are essential, to not walk around with a lot of souls, and the final one is whenever we see a rat, we gotta kill it. So again, those are sort of the rules. Not super tight rules, but you know, those are the rules that we're trying to follow in this walkthrough. Alright, so we are going to continue on to Sans Fortress, and before we proceed forward, we're going to try to get some more loot. And by the way, if you don't have full control equipped, you will be able to survive that fall. So don't worry about it. I believe it takes about half of your life bar. So regardless of how much or how little life you have, you're going to lose about half of it in that fall. But you should be able to survive it. Okay, so that was the secret right there, guys. I forgot to mention it. We just punched through that wall, and it gave way, and it allows us to go to this giant. And this giant is chained, and this is the giant that, upon hearing the second bell of awakening, and you can see the tower where the first bell of awakening is in the background. Upon hearing the second bell of awakening, he has been trained, or he knows that he has to open the gate to Sans Fortress. So again, somebody went through a lot of trouble to put all of these things in motion, and it could be Framped. It could be somebody else. We will explore and talk about the possibilities as we progress through this this lore walkthrough. All right. So now normally here you would just get off right here, and instead this is a little bit of a mistake here. I went all the way down the ladder. And now I need to go up because I definitely went the wrong way. I don't want to go that way. And this is going to give me a little bit of a chance to talk about the scythe that we picked up. I didn't talk about it. So the scythe has the same weight and it has the same stat requirements as the great scythe. The scythe has the movements of a halberd. Same exact movements as a halberd. And it actually can do a little bit more damage, something like 3 to 4% more physical damage than the great scythe. It has the same scaling, again, the same weight, the same stat requirements. I happen to like the great scythe over the scythe because of the bleed component to it, and because of the running attacks, the one-handed running attack, the two-handed running attack, and also the two-handed strong attack. So I happen to like the great scythe because of those attacks and the bleed component to it. But the scythe is a great alternate as well. It's also a very, very strong, what I like to call value weapon, meaning that with it has high scaling, it has low requirements, and it can do just a ton of damage. All right, so we just got through a serpent mage. And you don't have to kill that mage. What you can do is you can hold up your shield, and you can attack, and you can walk around him, step on the pressure plate, and have the projectiles kill him. When I attacked him, I pushed him back, and he stepped onto the plate. All right, so we're proceeding here, and as you can tell, indeed, Sense Fortress does have a lot of traps and boulders that you have to avoid. And we've just picked up the Ring of Steel Protection. And this is an excellent ring for melee builds, not super high level melee builds. And it's also an excellent ring for level 1 builds. And it will increase your physical defense by 50 points. So if you wear it along with light armor, is as if you had the physical defense of a heavy armor set. So it's a pretty good ring. All right, so we have found what the community likes to call Onion Bro, and this is Sigmaya of Katarina, and he wears this weird round armor set that has some pretty decent stats. It's a heavy set, but it can be upgraded, and it can give you quite a bit of physical defense and other resistances as well, and it's a pretty good one. It looks ridiculous. And if you follow his dialogue and you meet some of the requirements, he will give you a Titanite slab if you follow all the way through his dialogue. Now, we're not going to do that, and that is because I don't think his plot line is going to add much to the central lore of the game. The plot line is pretty decent, and it will fill in a little bit about Katarina, which is another realm in this world that we're in. But as far as the central lore, it really doesn't add much to it. So we are not going to follow his dialogue. But you can indeed get a Titanite slab from him. Or if you fail, but if you complete some other events, he will give you a ring. Which is it will give you protection against magic, lightning, and fire. And I guess the other thing you can do is you can kill him, and you can get his ring and his sword. But I normally just stay clear of Onion Bro. Now that Titanite slabs are a little bit more of a frequent drop in the latest patch. Okay, so we just went down into this area. And we see a chest, which happens to be that of a mimic, and we are going to take out the mimic. And you can use a Floyd's talisman on the mimic. You can throw it, and he will give up his item. And as a matter of fact, using Lloyd talismans, you can farm the mimics. You hit them with a low power weapon or with your bare hand, and then you throw a talisman at him. He gives up his item, and then you can do that over and over again, and you can try to farm it, and you can try to get some of the items that he drops. All right, so I went into that pit to show you that the boulders are filling up that pit, and when the pit is completely filled up, another boulder will roll over the top of the boulders, and it will break through that wall, and it will open the way to the covetous silver serpent ring. And this is an extremely useful item. It increases your item discovery rate, so it's a very, very useful item for farming. But more importantly than that, the covetous ring is going to tell you that it has an inscription of a serpent, and it's going to tell you that serpents are imperfect dragons. So that is pretty interesting. What does that mean? Does that mean that the serpents have a feud with the dragons? Does that mean that Framp doesn't like the dragons? Don't know. We will explore that, but the game has given us a hint right there that even though the serpents are primordial, they don't die and they've been around since the beginning, they're not perfect. So that implies that if they're imperfect dragons, that implies that the dragons are perhaps not perfect, but that the dragons are better versions of the serpents. Okay, so you saw me trip a lever a few seconds ago, and that opened up the path to Logan, to Master Logan. And we are going to rescue Big Hat Logan, and he is going to show up at Firelink Shrine, and he is going to teach us his spells in exchange for freeing him. So, you know, we are magic users, so we will go ahead and we will do that, and we will follow his plot line to the end, because unlike Zigmeyer of Katarina, Big Hat Logan's plot line is very much associated and related to the central lore of the game. So he's a little kooky though. If you noticed, he has the big hat, of course, but he also has the ridiculous outfit. You know, he's got the ill-fitting clothes. The robe doesn't really fit him that well. So he's a little bit of an eccentric, you know, the crazy college professor look. So he sort of fits that stereotype, since he doesn't care what he looks like. He doesn't care about people. The only things that he cares about are wisdom and the pursuit of wisdom. So he's sort of obsessed with gaining more knowledge and becoming more of a powerful sorcerer. And like I said, we will follow the plot to the end. And eventually we will be able to get his armor. And by the way, his coat, his robe is incredibly good for physical defense relative to its weight. It's got the highest amount of physical defense relative to the weight. Alright, so we've gone in here, and here we find the Black Sorcerer outfit. So apparently Griggs had been searching for Logan, because if you remember, Griggs is a Black Sorcerer of Vinheim, and he follows Logan, and he was going to try to go after him. So eventually, when Griggs hollows out, he does go after Logan, and he dies in Sense Fortress. So that's why his armor set is there, and you will encounter the hollowed out Griggs at some point. Okay, so we're coming to almost the end of the first part of this video, and I'm not going to talk about my failed parries anymore. Alright guys, and we are back, and instead of talking about my horrendous attempts at parrying in the next couple of minutes, I am going to try to correct some of the mistakes that I've made in the beginning part of this video. So we picked up a ring, and I called it the covetous gold serpent ring. I'm sorry, the covetous silver serpent ring. and it is actually the covetous gold serpent ring. I also called the Titanite demons, and their official name is prowling demons, but they're also referred to as Titanite demons in some descriptions of items in the game. So I guess they can be called both prowling demons and Titanite demons, and I just wanted to pass that along to you guys. The other thing is that I did not talk at all about the shotel that we picked up prior to dropping to the area where the Zigmeyer was. And the shotel is an item made by the Earl of Karim, and if you remember, Lautrec was from Karim. And Lautrec is a little bit sneaky, as are apparently all folks from Karim. And anyway, the Earl of Karim also makes crossbows, and apparently the folks from Karim are experts at hand-to-hand combat. They don't like to use shields, they like to use parrying daggers. And if you take a look at the description for the shotel, it'll actually tell you that, or if you use the shotel, you'll actually find out that it's two-handed strong attack, I believe, evades shields. So that's another sort of sneaky Karim-like property that this item has. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here, is that the Ring of Steel Protection was made by Night King Rendel, and Rendel came to this land when there was a large outbreak of undead, supposedly. But we'll be talking a little bit more about Rendel as we progress through the level. Okay, so let's go back to the video now. So we have recovered our souls, and we've made it past the couple of traps, and we've come to this new area. We found the bonfire. We gingerly dropped onto the bonfire. We didn't roll off the edge. If you roll off the edge onto the bonfire, you may fall off. You want to drop instead of rolling. And eventually we come to this NPC, and he has what appears to be a pretty cool and heavy armor set, and this guy is the Crestfallen merchant, and he tells us that he tried to take on Sense Fortress by himself, and that he was not different from those vile creatures, meaning that he didn't have a noble purpose, that he came to Sense Fortress thinking that he was very grandiose and very strong, because the Knights of Berenike, who wear the steel set that the Crestfallen merchant is wearing, so obviously he is a Knight of Berenike. The Knights of Berenike supposedly were the mightiest of the mighty, so a lot of them probably vainly thought that they could come to Sense Fortress and they could easily beat it. But apparently what happened is that none of them survived, and they eventually became hollowed, and they turn into real monsters, because with their heavy armors and with their very strong weapons, they're pretty difficult opponents. And we've met a couple of Knights of Berenike. We met one in the Undead Church, and we just met a second one, which was a Crestfallen merchant, but this one at least was not hollow. Alright, so we've come down the tower where the Crestfallen merchant is, and we have found the cage key, and let's make our way up. And this key, if you didn't pick up the master key, is what allows us to rescue Logan, Big Hat Logan. So if you didn't have the master key, you could come down here, pick up the master key, pick up the cage key, and you can open up the cages to get the soul items. You can free Logan, and this key will also help us free up a shortcut. And I'll talk a little bit more about this key after we've gone back to Firelink and we've talked to Logan. Alright, but we are back to the Crestfallen merchant, and he's going to tell us something really, really interesting. He's going to try to give us a little bit of advice, even though he's got a bad attitude. And he tells us that in our condition, because we don't have any humanity, not to even think about going to Enter Londo, because the great and renowned legendary heroes, Night King Rendel, Black Iron Turkus, and Logan, Big Hat Logan have tried, and they've they haven't succeeded. So he's telling us, hey, if those great legendary heroes weren't able to cut the mustard, there's no way you're going to be able to cut the mustard, especially in your stage, since you don't have any humanity. So, not a real positive bro, the Crestfallen merchant. All right, so we see some treasure here. We can just drop onto it, and without full control, again, you should be able to survive the fall. And that's another item from Karim. If you read the description for the sniper crossbow, it'll tell you that was another item that was made by the Earl of Karim. So the Earl of Karim apparently was really into weapons. And the sneaky type weapon, which the crossbow would be considered a sneaky weapon in an age where most everyone has, who's not a magician, they don't have any ranged attacks. They have to sort of depend on their sword and shield. All right, and we just killed a couple of Knights of Berenike, and if you look at the descriptions of their armor, you will find out that they served. They were from the land of Boulder, and I'm sorry, I don't remember if I called them Knights of Berenike. They're not Knights of Berenike; they're Knights of Boulder, and their king was Night King Rendell. So apparently, Night King Rendell was indeed through Sen's Fortress, and he brought a couple of his knights with him when he tried to beat Sen's Fortress. Now, this is a Knight of Berenike, and he is a heavy knight. He has the steel set, the same set as the Crestfallen merchant. And we continue on our merry way here and go up this tower, and we find another. Well, he is an elite knight of Astora, based on the fact that he's wearing the elite knight set. And we are going to pick up Ricard's Rapier. And if you look at the description for Ricard's Rapier, which I am doing right now, it'll tell you that this, again, is another sort of legendary or heroic type. He's a infamous undead Prince Ricard, and I think this guy was just a vain SOB who thought he was a world beater. If you read, based on the description of his rapier, he had one too many adventures, got killed, became undead, and eventually made it to the north, made it up to Lordran to probably follow on the footsteps of trying to be the chosen undead. And he found out that he couldn't get through Sen's Fortress, so he, got right to the very end of Sen's Fortress, but he couldn't get past the last little hurdle of Sen's Fortress, and he makes his living now in one of the towers in Sen's Fortress. So that's a pretty awful fate, if you ask me. All these heroic legendary heroes either are stuck in Sen's Fortress or died and became hollow in Sen's Fortress. Okay, so we picked up a couple of items there while I do some item management here and some leveling up. We picked up the Ring of Sacrifice, which was an item made by Velka, the goddess of sin, in some kind of a weird ritual. And we also picked up a Divine Blessing from Guinevere. So Ricard was guarding these two items. So apparently these are his stash. He had a Ring of Sacrifice and he had a Divine Blessing, and he was saving them for the proper time when he could use them, when he thought that he could get through the last hurdle, the end boss of Sen's Fortress. But apparently now is not the right, the time is not right now, because he was there guarding his items. All right. So there's really not a lot of things for us to do in Sen's Fortress. We just got to do a couple of things here. If you've noticed, there are burn marks throughout the ground and throughout the platforms, and those tell you where the boulders strike that giant is throwing up at us. So that's really a pain in the butt. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to take out the giant. But first, I'm going to open up the shortcut using the cage key. And that will allow us to quickly go back to the bottom, to the beginning of the Sense Fortress level, or close to the beginning. And here's another boulder knight with the standard crossbolt as opposed to a sniper crossbolt, which was the item that we picked up that was made by Corinne. And here's the giant. So this guy's pretty brutish. Obviously, all these giants are brutish because they are assigned kind of brutish tasks, and one of them even had to be chained to his task. So this is the third giant we've encountered in this level. Is the second giant that we've taken off, and he's the most annoying giant of all. And he does drop a Titanite chunk, which is actually pretty useful. So that's another if you need another reason to take him out, other than the fact that he throws boulders at you, is for his Titanite chunk. Alright, so this is an area where you actually can summon someone, and you can summon Black Iron Tarkus. And I'm not going to talk about him in this video, I'll talk about him in the next video, but you can summon him, and you know what, that's all I'm going to say about Black Iron Tarkus. I'll talk about him in a little bit more in the next video. And now we're going to take on the end boss, and this is the Iron Golem. And if you read the description of his armor set, which will be available to you in Firelink Shrine after this boss fight, you will find out that he was made by the gods when they fused souls and they fused a dragon bone from an everlasting dragon together. So it doesn't tell you which god made it. It doesn't tell you if the dragons were dead or alive, or if the dragons gave up their bones willingly. Probably not, but the fact that there was a dragon involved in the creation of the protector of the pathway to Anor Londo is going to mean something to us later on. Is a little bit of a clue as to who is actually manipulating and pulling the strings. Who is actually is controlling, and who put together this fortress. And you can read the description of the core of the Iron Golem, and also if you can make it into the Dragon Bone Fist, and that's where you find out that the Iron Golem was made by the gods by fusing souls and by fusing the bones or the bone of an everlasting dragon. Alright, so that is going to do it for Sans Fortress, guys. We've beaten the level. I only died once, and the reason I died is because I was trying to show off and I was trying to do some parries. So and I picked up quite a bit of loot, but now there's this is supposedly a secret walkthrough as well. So I am going to go ahead and get a couple of more items. They're not one of them is sort of related to the lore, one of them is not, but you may not be aware of this, but you can actually make this jump. You can jump right at the very end of that platform, and you will make it onto this area where the third and final giant is. And they're pretty easy to beat, as you've seen. And actually, I'm not doing that much damage with my great scythe. I think we need to upgrade it a little bit. So we'll be doing that in an upcoming video. We'll be taking this puppy to a plus 14 or a plus 15, and we will have a beast of a weapon. And as we increase our dexterity, it will become stronger and stronger. Alright, so this giant only gave us 1,000 souls. The giant at the very top of the tower that was throwing the flaming boulders, he gave us 3,000 souls, but he also gave us some he also gave us a Titanite chunk too. So again, that's really what we were after, since the Titanite chunk is very, very useful. But I did want to point out that that jump is makeable. You are able to make that jump, and again, if you hit the very end of that platform, and you will get to the area where you can fight the giant at the very beginning, or the very first giant that throws boulders down these ramps. And he does respawn, so don't get too excited. Next time you come through here, that giant will have a respawn. The other two will not, but that giant will respawn. Alright, so there is one last item that I want to show you guys, and it is definitely related to the lore. And as you can see, you can step on the pressure plate and back off, or as I did earlier, you can just roll right through it. It's whatever you want. And the secret with these knives is to go as the first one is has just passed the center point. You saw me do that. And here's some more failed parries, and I'm really sorry about this, guys. I don't know why I kept trying to parry and failing over and over again. I guess I must be a crazy person, because I was doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I almost died twice. Let me see if I'm still going to try to parry. No, I think I just said, okay, enough. I'm going to cry uncle. I'm going to give up, and I'm just going to take on these guys the normal way. I'm not going to try to parry. The reason I'm parrying these guys, by the way, is because their attacks are pretty fast, so they're good practice for the Black Knights, which we'll encounter in a future video. So I encourage you guys, if you guys have a little bit more vitality than me, practice parrying on the serpent soldiers. If you miss the first parry, don't try to parry again. You know, just block and you should be okay. The reason I died is because I tried parrying once, twice, even thrice, and if you fail after the second time, you're probably going to get stunned and you're probably going to get killed. But again, it's good practice for the Black Knights. All right, so this is the last item that I wanted to show you guys, and we just picked up the Slumbering Dragon Crest ring, and this is a ring worn by a certain surreptitious sorcerer. So notice that it says a, meaning that there's only one sorcerer that wears this ring. That this is not a ring that is worn by many sorcerers. It's only worn by one sorcerer, and that one sorcerer actually happens to be Griggs back in Firelink Shrine. And again, that's another indication that Griggs totally shortchanges himself. You know, he doesn't have a lot of belief in himself. He sort of plays possum, but he's got a lot of game. First of all, he's from the Dragon School. He belongs to a sect within the Dragon School that not many sorcerers get into. He's a black sorcerer. He's not just a standard sorcerer. And on top of all of that, he either created or got this Slumbering Dragon Crest ring, and he's the only one in the Dark Souls world that has it. So it's funny how the game keeps telling you, and his dialogue keeps telling you, that he doesn't have a lot of belief in himself, but he is destined to be, in my opinion, he's destined to be a great sorcerer. He's trying to follow in the footsteps of his teacher, Master Logan, and we hope that he makes it, because I happen to like Griggs, because he's not, you know, he's not vain, and he's not full of conceit like some of the other characters in Dark Souls. All right, so well, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. The rest of the video, we are going to be talking to Griggs. We're going to be talking to Logan. We're going to be talking to everyone back in Firelink Shrine and seeing if they have new dialogue, if they can help us put together some of the lore. So one thing that I haven't talked about, and you guys may want to stay tuned to listen about, is Logan and the description of the cage key, which is pretty interesting, and it's actually a very, very important piece of the lore. So I'll tell you what, guys, you guys definitely want to stay tuned for that. And then the second thing is that I finally figured out what Laurentius was talking about when he said that there was a tie between the swamp and humanity and the soul and pyromancy. And we're going to talk to Laurentius at the end of this video, and I'll tell you what it is that I found. It's a little bit of a... I'm very happy that I was able to puzzle this out, or at least come up with a theory that makes sense to me. Alright, so we talked to Griggs, and Griggs was very deferential and said, hey, don't even bother with me, why don't you go talk to the man, Big Hat. And looking at some of the items that he sells, boy, Logan is indeed legendary, and we could see why Griggs has a lot of devotion for Logan, because Logan apparently is not only a renowned sorcerer, but he has advanced sorcery. He has come up with very, very powerful sorceries that no one else has ever been able to come up with, and maybe that nobody else can even wield. Although he does sell the spell, so I take that back. You are able to wield that sorcery, but Logan was the initiator. Logan was the one that invented it. Oh, and I'm going to talk about the cage key, because that's very, very important. So if you look at the description for the cage key, that opened up the cage in Sense Fortress and unlocked the shortcut. And Petros doesn't really have anything important to say other than he's back by himself without Milady. Anyway, the cage key says that the serpent men, when they see somebody that has become fatigued from their battle in Sense Fortress and they basically fall asleep, the serpent men don't attack them, but instead they put them in a cage, they lock them away, and eventually they take them God knows where. So that is a very, very interesting tidbit there, guys. What does that mean? What is happening? Who are the serpent men working for? And why do they need undead? And where are they taking them? So, and is that person, is the leader of the serpent men, is that person the one that is, you know, holding the reins and manipulating and the strings and playing us? Or is he part of a bigger plot? Don't know, but things are kind of getting intriguing and getting pretty interesting. Alright, so I only have 1 minute left, so let me very, very quickly talk about Laurentius. And he is going to say that it has a rather primitive aspect. Pyromancy has a primitive aspect, and it's considered unsavory. And I think that he means that the sorcerers think or look down upon pyromancers, and that is because when you want to increase your pyromancy, you go to your teacher, and your teacher increases your pyromancy by using souls. With spells, with sorcery, that's not the case. You go to your teacher, and not only do you have to buy the spell and buy attunement slots, but the other thing that you have to do is you have to study. You have to acquire intelligence. You have to become more and more and more intelligent. So sorcery requires a lot of study, whereas pyromancy does not. You just need souls. You just need to use your humanity, manipulate it, and your teacher will make you a better pyromancer. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the Tech Phantom signing off.